because it's so true. It says here that Blake Lively's astounding victory. As you know, her attorneys have been on this victory tour lately, and this person on Reddit, it ends with us lawsuit Reddit thread, and they're saying here that she has 50 undeniable lawsuit losses. And here they're counting up all the things that she lost. One being $0.
$0. That's what Blake Lively walked away with after one of the most publicized Hollywood lawsuits in recent memory. 0. And her attorneys went on camera calling it a victory. You already know what I'm about to say. We all saw this coming. Every single one of us who watched this unfold from the beginning, who read between the lines when the mainstream press was busy painting her as a brave survivor, we knew. And now, the receipts are public. The docket is open, and somebody on Reddit just did what her legal team never could. They counted 50 things.
Justin Baldoni's lawsuit is only the beginning for Blake Lively. And I found this amazing thing on Reddit today pointing out all the 50 things that Blake Lively lost. And still they're claiming this astonishing victory. I can't wait to share them all with
50 documented, provable, on-the-record losses, and Blake Lively's people are still out here talking about winning? Let's actually go through this together, because I think you need to see the full picture laid out in one place. Start at the beginning. 10 out of 13 claims dismissed. Not settled quietly. Dismissed by a judge who looked at the evidence and said there's nothing here. Every single sexual harassment allegation, gone. Justin Baldoni, dismissed. Jamie Heath, dismissed. All individual defendants cleared before the case even reached a settlement. And here's what's interesting about that. If you truly believed you were harassed, if you truly believed what you put in that complaint, why would you settle 2 weeks before trial? She had been publicly demanding her day in court. Publicly. And then, quietly, no trial. No appeal clause either. That part matters more than people realize. That clause locks in whatever Judge Lyman decides in his forthcoming ruling, no matter what it says. Think about that. Her own legal team agreed to terms that strip her of the ability to appeal a ruling that hasn't even dropped yet. And the reason for that? Well, you'll see why that's significant in a moment. Now here's where it gets interesting. The dancing scene. Blake's original complaint stated there was no audio recorded during that slow dance scene on set.
I didn't think there was any audio on the dancing scene. So in her first complaint, Blake said this. She said that on another occasion, Mr. Baldoni and Miss Lively were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. Remember that? She didn't think there was any audio in that clip, in that dancing scene. Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character as Ryle. Instead, he spoke to Miss Lively out of character as himself, which of course he had to do because he was the director of the movie. So Blake was expecting him to talk to her as Ryle while he was directing the movie.
Her lawyers built part of their case on that assumption, saying Baldoni acted inappropriately in a moment he thought was private and unrecorded. Then Baldoni released the dailies, the actual footage, with audio. And on that audio, you can clearly hear him say, "I'm going to take my hat off and lean in and try to kiss you." And Blake says, "Okay, fine."
Said Mr. Baldoni did not provide notice or seek consent for any intimacy in advance, which we also know that he did because now we heard the audio and he said, "I'm going to take my hat off and then I'm going to lean in and try to kiss you." And Blake say, "Okay, fine." Yeah, all these little discrepancies is so...
That's consent captured, documented, and played for anyone who wanted to listen. So what did her legal team do? They quietly amended the complaint, changed the language, claimed the audio was never meant for the film anyway. Not an accident, not an oversight, a direct rewrite of their own previous filing after they got caught. And look, I have to be honest with you for a second. I want to pause here because this part genuinely bothers me. Not just legally, personally. Because when you watch a team of lawyers change their story in real time after evidence surfaces, that's not fighting for justice. That's damage control. And the people who were supposed to be holding the powerful accountable were the ones doing the covering up. That sits wrong with me. It should sit wrong with you too. But let's keep going. Because the text messages. Oh, the text messages.
Okay, so let's look into this text exchange that was just released just the same day, I think, as the settlement. So everyone was just looking at the settlement, screaming like, what's happening? And then in the meantime, there were some other evidence that were actually dropped on the docket. And here is a message between Blake.
Dropped the same day as the settlement? Slipped into the docket while everyone was watching the headlines. Blake and Jenny Slate trading what I can only describe as industrial-grade flattery about each other's performances. Beautiful work, breathtakingly stunning, shot through the heart. And then, almost immediately after all that warmth, Blake is telling Jenny that Colleen Hoover is frosty.
Did I do something to upset her? And then Blake responds, that's her personality, talking about Colleen being frosty. Which is why I was always so disconnected from her and spooked by her. She was always really nervous to be there because she felt like just
that she's always been spooked by Colleen, disconnected from her. Now, keep in mind, Blake spent months publicly presenting herself as Colleen Hoover's champion, the devoted adapter of her beloved book, the woman who cared deeply about the story. And privately, she's telling co-stars she felt disconnected from the author. Colleen Hoover has since deleted every photo with Blake from her Instagram. Every single one. Actually, let me rephrase that. It's not just that Colleen deleted photos, it's that the entire inner circle quietly started backing away and nobody said it publicly. Jenny Slate, same thing. Gone from her social media. Taylor Swift's friendship reportedly damaged. Gigi Hadid distanced herself so quietly that Blake wasn't even at her 30th birthday. Cara Delevingne, no longer in contact. Sophie Turner, no longer in contact. Travis Kelce unfollowed Ryan Reynolds. When people who once stood in your corner start disappearing without a single word, that tells you something the press releases never will. And then there's the Sony situation. Internal Sony executives were caught in documents privately calling her, and I'm being precise here, an effing terrorist. Their own internal assessment described how she orchestrated the drama in what they called a totally unsavvy and amateur way that backfired. These aren't critics online. These are Hollywood insiders, the very industry she was trying to protect her reputation within. Scott Swift, Taylor's father, reportedly turned over evidence related to what a filed affidavit described as an extortion attempt. The claim being that Blake's team threatened to release Taylor's private text messages if Taylor didn't publicly support her. We've seen some of those private messages now, and we all know what they show. But here's the question nobody's really asking yet. What else is in those messages that we haven't seen? Now let's talk money, because that's what finally cuts through everything. Blake Brown, the hair brand that was supposed to be Target's biggest beauty launch ever in 2024, dropped 87% in value.
Blake and Ryan were disowned by fans who had adored them just days before. And they're talking about the fallout here, which was brutal. And it says that Blake Brown plunged over 87%.
From a projected $100 million down to $15 million. Betty Buzz, her sparkling beverage line, quietly shut down in 2025. Multiple corporate events canceled. Retail partners like Kroger internally documented their concerns and walked away. Her own legal filings admitted losses between $39 and $143 million. Her lawyers projected $132 million in lost future earnings over the next 5 years. And the settlement returned zero of that. Blake Brown products are currently on clearance at Target in Maryland for $4.24. Someone sent in a photo.
Thank you, Vashti, for sending me this saying, I'm at a local Target in Maryland and noticed Blake's products on clearance. What's funny about it is that they're covering her name with the clearance labels. So, as you can see, Blake Brown is for sale for $4.24.
And the clearance label is covering her name on the packaging. I don't know if that was intentional or just the universe having a sense of humor, but either way, it says everything. And her career? No filming, Nothing in production, no announced projects. Her producer credentials are being questioned after a letter from the Producers Guild was unsealed. The Hollywood Reporter ran a piece openly asking who wants to work with her. Disney executives who worked with her personally said this lawsuit has finished her in Hollywood. One producer publicly suggested she lean into playing a villain. Agents are on record saying they don't want to represent actors who bring litigation risk and blow up budgets. And through all of this, Justin Baldoni refused to sign the NDA. He refused because he's free to speak. And sources say he's already preparing to tell his story, in his own words, for the first time.
But quiet, a source told Star magazine that Baldoni is preparing to tell his side of the story, describing it as inevitable. Justin is free to speak on this and tell his side of the story. As I spoke about yesterday in my video, Blake was the one who really...
Not through legal filings, not filtered through attorneys. His actual account of what happened on that set. What it was like when Ryan Reynolds showed up to confront him at that Tribeca loft. What it cost his family. All of it coming. And Blake's team reportedly finds that truly sickening.
So they have a source there saying that this has already cost her so much money and created so much stress. The idea of letting him now control the narrative is truly sickening to her. Of course, as you know, she had the opportunity to already tell her.
The idea that he now gets to speak without restriction while she sits on the other side of a settlement that got her nothing. So here's my question for you, and I want you to answer this in the comments right now, because I want to know what you actually think. If this is a victory, if $0 recovered, 50 documented losses, a career in freefall, a brand empire in clearance bins, and an adversary who refused your NDA and is about to tell the world his side of the story, if that's what winning looks like in Hollywood, what does losing look like? And who exactly was this lawsuit ever really for?